page 60. Break them at your own peril. Rule number 1, you must get financial commitment from your buyer for the first month's rent and a deposit. Never break that rule. Don't get their money, they don't get in your house. Rule number 2, they must pay rent regardless. If the house is condemned, they pay rent. If they're an investor, they pay rent. And the rent should cover PITI, even if you're not making the interest payment. And rule number 3, they must be financeable sometime in the future, or you're not doing anything but buying into a problem you got to fix later. Rule number 4, they must be able to get the repairs done, or they'll never get done. And you'll never get it to a closing, so why are you doing this? Rule number 5, never install a work for equity tenant unless you use a work for equity lease and option agreement attached. Now, number 6, never spend repair money until the repairs are done and you feel the tenant will qualify for a loan soon. And rule number 7, never count on getting cash out until you receive the money, and you should run your business assuming the cash isn't coming. Does the cash ever come when you need it the most? Murphy, got a condo here, doesn't he? The worst you need it, the worst it comes, never comes when you need it. And if you've already got it spent, it ain't coming. Something's gonna happen. Don't count on any promises made by the tenant becoming reality. Assume it won't happen and plan accordingly. And number 9, you should expect no more than 50% of your tenants to close, so prepare for a turnover. Don't be shocked when they do. Build and maintain a buyer's list, which you're about to learn how to do. Guys, I'm going to tell you, if you get 50% of them to close, it's because you're doing a lot of work to make it happen, and you're running a well-oiled machine. You know, I can give you a list of folks who would be thrilled to get 50% of them to close. The truth is, if they don't get 50%, they don't really care most of the time, because if you don't get 50% of them to close, you're putting an unlikely prospect in there to begin with, and/or you're doing nothing on the back end to help them and lead them toward that process. You literally could probably get that up to maybe 70% if you run a good business, but I don't think you're ever going to get it above that. So be prepared. And rule number 10, never ignore rules number 1 through 9. All right, so let's take a look at this lease option agreement, and no, I will not stand up here and read it. This is my sweat equity agreement. And it is in that website I gave you this morning for you to download. It is also on goffn.com. And this is the agreement that you should send to your attorney electronically for them to review prior to your first lease option deal closing. Your attorney will then take my agreement, read through it, and say, this is pretty cool. Stick it in his agreement file, probably get you to add or subtract something to it to justify his fee, and you will wind up with an attorney that he likes and you like. Be very careful about him taking stuff out of here now without you clearly understanding why he took it out. Incidentally, this is the work of 2 different attorneys, not just one. And yes, it was done here in Florida, but you will find it'll work anywhere with slight alterations, even Canada. So get it to them and let them fix it the way they want it fixed. Now, here's the thing about a work for equity agreement, and here's a big word of caution. You never want to put somebody in a house that needs work with a standard pretty house lease option agreement. If you do, and you get challenged, you have probably lost the case, because you have contradicting terms in that thing. It is customary for a landlord to be responsible for repairs, pretty much anywhere. Therefore, if your agreement says in there that the landlord is responsible for repairs, or there's any indication that the tenant is taking the house in good condition, you have contradictions. You will not find that in this agreement. This agreement clearly states that a condition of the purchase, and the reason we're giving them the option, is because they agree to make the repairs with their own money now and forever. It also states that their deposit is non-refundable, clearly. And if you will go through it and turn to the back, you will see an addendum, somewhere, addendum B, which is on page 18 of the agreement, back of the book. The addendum to real estate possession and lease agreement sweat equity program. And this is further to spell out the fact that they are taking it in its as-is condition with the intent for them to renovate it, and that is why they got it at a below market price, and on and on and on. Just further evidence. In fact, on page 19 is a list of repairs that they agreed to do. You can simply put on there, see addendum C or whatever you call the list of repairs in your book, or you can just use that. Or you can take the one in your book here and use it to send to your attorney, and then your attorney can transfer that to here if he likes. He's going to do what he wants to do, or she. Now, look at page 20, and you'll see your real estate purchase option agreement. This is the option agreement that attaches to your lease, but is not part of your lease. Any attorney will tell you that the option should always stand alone from the lease. 2 separate agreements. But in any good option agreement, it also says that if they violate the lease, if the lease is broken, then the option expires. And it says that in here. And how would you like to have a tenant in one of your houses that you have evicted for not paying the rent, but still has the option to buy it? Well, the language in here will prevent that. If the lease is broken, the option is void, and this option attaches to the lease. So, in fact, move on to Exhibit D, and you'll find the same down payment assistance program on page 24 that we went over earlier that becomes part of your lease. I don't notarize anything. My attorney does. He will have it notarized in his office, but to tell you the truth, it doesn't matter because it's not recordable anyway. And if they sign it in front of him, what better witness in court if you need one? So a notary is not even applicable. So there you have it. All the steps from beginning to end to a sweat equity program or a worker equity program. Next time you need help, you just go back to the book and say, I heard that in there somewhere. Now let me go back and look it up now that I need it done. Okay? I'm Joe McNamee. I'm an active real estate investor, and I also teach what I do. I like to always say, I practice what I preach. All right, a little bit about me. I grew up in a household of real estate investing. My mother was a realtor for 27 years. My dad was in construction. We moved into houses. Mom would clean one room. We'd live in the house, and then we would fight the roaches, the rats, and fix the house up, get it ready to sell it. Mom would negotiate the purchase price before we started working on it, and then she would go to a back-to-back closing, buying it and selling it at the end of the whole deal. We'd move out, we'd do it again. I lived in the slums, what we call the war zones today, or the ghetto, or what have you. But that's kind of how I grew up. I learned martial arts. I taught martial arts at the age of 17.
I was a black belt. You can understand why, because it was rough. I moved 19 times by the time I was 19 years old. We just bounce. So that was the hard way. I like to call it my blood years, but that was the hard way of doing real estate. And I continued doing that. I joined the Army, spent 20 years there, retired as a CW3, turned down W4 to get out. And I did real estate investing the whole time I was in the service. Most of the time in the States, a few overseas deals, they were a little bit scary for me, so I didn't keep doing that. But every time I was in the States, I did it. This is my family here. I have a son who's 30, he's up top left, and a daughter who's 28. That's Mike and Megan. And then next to them, I'm over to the right. Next to them is my 15-year-old daughter, Heather. Heather and Garrett sitting on my wife's lap there, and that's my wife's grandmother to the left. Obviously, that's my wife with Garrett. Heather is 15, and then Garrett is 3.